Group chat with Tara Thomas and Amanda Goodman of Faith and Four Letter Words.
Happy Monday morning. We hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day if you were celebrating or celebrating a mom in your life. I'm Tara Thomas.
And I'm Amanda Goodman. Thanks so much for joining us. It is Monday, May 11th, and
our life is flashing before our eyes.
It is going, it is everything always goes very slowly, like months, except this month. May has flown by. I am on the cusp of the very first high school graduation in my house. So it is, I was fine yesterday. And then Gia and I were running errands yesterday morning. And she's like, do you want to listen to some graduation songs? I said, sure.
Oh, and then my gosh.
The first one that comes on is Landslide by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, that's an emotional song.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
So I'm hanging by a thread.
It is hard because you also, and we all go through this, especially if we're having big occasions in our lives, weddings, babies, all the things. You always say, oh, I want to enjoy the moment. Yeah. I want to make sure that I remember this moment. But the truth is, especially if you're a mom, you are doing so much of the organizing, the planning, the prep.
Right.
You have to in some ways always have your party planner hat on when you're enjoying the event.
Yeah, you can't really enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
That's why that's why moms get so sentimental and emotional when we look at pictures, because we have to look back on it, and then you don't
have time for the reflection when you're in the moment.
We're in the eye of the hurricane right now. We're in the eye. So
it's crazy how we were just saying, my mom and myself over the weekend, that my daughter, it just seems like yesterday that she decided she was going to Arizona, and then now finishing her second year, she's halfway done with college. So then that feels weird.
That's weird.
I know.
And she's a whole nother woman.
Yeah.
She left, it sounds so cheesy. But she was always kind of like an old soul, but she left like a girl, she left like a high school senior, and she's literally, I remember we had the show in Cedar Falls and she came back, and this was still her freshman year, and she came back, and I remember looking at her, and she was carrying herself. I'm like, she looks like a whole new woman.
And that's what will happen with Gia. When Gia comes home, the first time you see her, you will feel like she's the same but different.
Yeah.
And it's exciting because you start seeing them come into their own in a way that you can't navigate if you're here with them. I mean, it's great when they can kind of forge their own path. And so I think it's also interesting that some of the same issues that they dealt with in middle school and then high school will extend to college, because in college there are a lot of people, and this is how I would describe it, and this is what you'll experience. There are different parenting styles that impact how the kids engage. So since I'm one who's more hands-off and letting my daughter make a lot of her own decisions, when she is then connected to kids whose parents are more like the helicopter parents,
oh yes,
it can then cause issues where whatever the kids decide, mom or dad may manipulate or impact the decisions. And so sometimes it's so interesting. I have found the one plus is my daughter feels empowered to make her own decisions.
Right.
And some of her acquaintances or friends in college, they can't do or decide anything until they run it by mom and dad. And so it's kind of interesting because you really see the differences in parenting styles. And my thing is always, and we've talked about this, if you're telling them what to do in college, are you going to call their boss?
Right. Oh,
when you have a problem?
Yeah, no, some will. Right.
Some girl's mom called you. When
some girl's mom called me, and right. And it's one of those. Wait, Gia had a little decision to make just the other day, and I told her, I was like, well, that's up to you. And she kind of looked at me and I was like, well, you're 18.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make that decision for yourself now. So it's been very interesting. It's been interesting watching, but my son's having a more difficult time than I realized. But let me tell you what happened yesterday. Mother's Day. This is what moms want. For me, I don't need gifts, because I'm like, anything I want, I can buy myself. Does that make sense? I don't want to be, it's the written word. It's the written word. And if you have teenagers, then the written word will come in a post on social media. So Gia always will give me a little post, but my son, Nico, gave me the Instagram shout out yesterday.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's huge.
And yeah, it was huge. And it was
That's
it was
so
something
sweet.
along the lines that he said, you know, you're the best mom I could ever ask for. And I was like, Nico. And then of course Gia's in the background going, oh, of course, because he, like it's, and I'm
that
like,
was
oh,
very thoughtful of him. I love that.
he is, he's like a tender-hearted kid, and I looked at him, I'm like, that meant a lot. And he looks at me and he's like, well, I meant it. And I'm like,
That I love it. Good job, Nico. Not that you
Yes.
would ever be listening to a Facebook Live of your mom and her friend. It's like
he didn't even know we did the show. I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
gosh.
awesome. We've been doing it for.
So I have to share on Saturday, my family all went to see the Michael Jackson
I'm excited
biopic.
to hear about this.
And
Okay.
so the good news about it is if you in any way have been a Michael Jackson fan, and most of us are, as far as all of the incredible body of work that we listened to and enjoyed for years, you will very much appreciate how much went into having his nephew Jermaine's son play him. So much so that, I mean,
Did you catch yourself saying like, they look such as like Michael?
Yes. So they did a great job, I'm assuming, with makeup and prosthetics or whatever. But here was the crazy thing that you're going to find this so bizarre. Okay. So backstory quickly, one of the guys who produced it is the same guy who produced Bohemian Rhapsody, which is the incredible biopic about Queen's Freddie Mercury, which is unmatched. That was so well done because it had all the ups and downs. This biopic is curated because we don't see anything beyond him breaking away ultimately from his brothers and being the huge solo star.
Okay.
So they don't get into, any they don't get into what ultimately led to his death with the doctor or anything about alleged allegations of sexual assault, or any of that. But they show at the beginning when they're in Gary, Indiana, and they show all the kids, and there was no Janet. And the whole show you're watching and you're like, okay, there's LaToya, there's all the brothers.
What's up
and
with
then,
Janet?
So all my friend and I were talking about, all we can think is Janet must have told them early on, you will not mention me. There will be no representation of me. And I mean, it's so bizarre because you're looking and you're like, okay, we know they had a daughter, Janet, but then in the shots, they never mention Janet. And there's even scenes where you see LaToya and the mom like talking, and then there's never a mention of Janet. Isn't that weird? They just had to like erase her because she
clearly had to say
threatened something. Probably.
But
like,
now I wonder why. Like, why would she not be? Because it's
you gotta. I need.
I've heard it's
amazing.
to
Google it more. But also, this is what you will find very interesting. His bodyguard, who was handpicked early on when he was very young by Joe, the dad. That person became a pivotal figure in his life, and he was like a father figure to him. And he was the way that they depict him, he's a really good guy, and he really cared about him. Wow. And he's the one who encouraged him. You're an adult now. You can make your own choices. So, you'll love it.
I think it's interesting, and I don't know if the movie explores this. Michael, it kind of like everything that played out with him is exactly what we see with all these other child celebrities that have gone through, the Amanda Bynes, the Britney Spears, the ones that were pushed so hard to fame from their parents.
Yes.
And then Michael went through, everyone says, he created Neverland Ranch, where he lived, that whimsical property. And they were saying that he created that to abuse children. Whereas a lot of people, and I'm in the camp of thinking that he created that because he is stunted. He never, was a stunted child, in my opinion. I'm not going to get into the allegations and what he did or whatever, but I remember like there is a picture of myself and baby Gia and Hector, and we were at the Green Turtle in Ocean City, Maryland. And the reason I remember that picture is because moments after that picture was taken, we found out Michael Jackson died.
Oh my God.
And I remember the devastation. I mean, Tara, I called off work. When I got back to Texas, I called off work for the funeral because it was like that was our childhood.
Yeah,
I guarantee you and your family were in the same camp. My entire neighborhood, because my neighbor, when Thriller came out, and they had MTV, we didn't have MTV yet. I mean, like everybody gathered around. It was an event that we were watching the extended video of Thriller. I mean, I remember it vividly.
I remember it too. And I said that to my mom. I remember watching the Thriller video and how you were just in awe of all the choreography and how advanced it was for its time. And what you will love about the movie is it really gives somewhat a character depiction of his relationship with Berry Gordy and Quincy Jones.
Okay.
And that I thought was fascinating. And then the other thing that was so interesting, when you think about all the songs that he did, the movie only really scratches the surface because the movie doesn't mention Man in the Mirror. They don't play anything with, remember, PYT, Dirty Diana, and then remember when he did that Say, with Paul McCartney. So, I mean, the man is so accomplished that in the span of like a 2.5 hour movie, they had to really curate his catalog because he's that popular. Now, one thing that I did find very interesting about it, and this is something to your point that child stars would uniquely experience, once they recognized he had superhuman talent, his burden then from that young age was, I have to carry the load of my entire family and all my siblings because
can you imagine?
Because until Janet had her solo success, he was like the breadwinner for the family. So that was so weird.
I every time, one of my favorite songs is Jackson 5, Who's Loving You Now?
Yeah.
And you hear Little Michael, and I play it in my car, and Little Michael belting out this groan, and I play it in the car, and I always turn around. He's 6. Like, he's 6 years old singing this song. Like, and it breaks my heart when I think about it, because I'm thinking all Joe Jackson was thinking was cha-ching, cha-ching. I mean, like, it was such a stunted, like, he probably stopped growing up, a tremendous amount of pressure. I mean, it's already, think about the pressures of women and being like breadwinners or being, you know what I mean? Like, we feel pressures of, like, you know, for me, it's like, you know, I'm doing all the things and imagine being a kid and then you're responsible for the financial well-being of so many people in your family. It's crazy. I need to see this movie. I can't believe it's taken me so long. I haven't. I don't like being in movie theaters.
And it makes you recognize what you just said, that burden, it would be almost impossible for them to be a well-adjusted adult.
Yeah.
Because you're never a kid. You're never a kid. Now, I don't know what competition will be out there movie-wise, but Nia Long as his mother, and then Jermaine's son, Michael's nephew, playing him. I thought they were excellent in
Nia Long. Nia Long is phenomenal. And Nia Long, first of all, do you age ever? That woman has not. She's been around a long time. Yeah, she's been around a long time as an actress, and she's phenomenal. So, okay, I have to see the movie. I was watching an interview with Jermaine's son. What is his? I feel bad calling him, but I was watching an interview, and it was literally like looking at Michael. You're like, I'm looking at Michael Jackson right now. I mean, it was just the whole.
And that's the part I
was drinking Pepsi as a kid. Yeah, I hated Pepsi, but I was drinking Pepsi because Michael was drinking Pepsi.
Okay, Jafar. I knew that. Yeah, Jafar.
Okay, yes.
So here's it's interesting you bring that up. So, and I don't want to give too much away because you need to.
They show about this in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to see it. Something about it that was so troubling that I will share that I had no idea that this was a thing. That this made me change a lot of my childhood thinking, according to the movie. Again, now I should also mention at the end, one of the people who produced the film is featured in the movie. He was the guy who Michael Jackson chose to be his attorney to help him break free from Joe, the dad. Oh, gosh. So that tells you that this guy had intimate knowledge of the situation. I mean, he was very close throughout his career with Michael. The story that they share in the movie is, and we don't even have a way to really contextualize this. When MTV came out, and she and I were so young, everyone watched MTV, and then it became, if you were a kid, appointment television, because that was back when they only showed music videos. Yeah. According to this depiction in the movie, they would not play any Michael Jackson videos because he was African American, and they didn't want it to turn into a black music station. And there was a guy, a producer, or not a producer, he was like a mogul in the entertainment industry. And it shows Michael and Michael's attorney going to him and basically saying, you have to play my music, because if you don't, you're going to miss the point that his music is universal. It's not catered to an African-American audience. And the guy allegedly called the head of MTV at the time, in the movie they depict this, and said, if you do not put Beat It in rotation today, right now, we're going to pull Bruce Springsteen, Billy Joel, on and on and on. And he listed the CBS catalog of artists and basically said, no, Michael, we're pulling all these white people.
Wow.
And that supposedly is what tripped the whole process of making him successful and then a worldwide phenomenon. And it bothered me, because going through t-shirts of my daughters that were like selling at a garage sale, I came across an MTV logo, because remember how all the 80s logos have been iconic
1,000%.
for our kids.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm going to lower this price to $1. Yeah,
25 cents.
Because it just makes you, and
Yeah.
it's sad. It blows your image of thinking that
I know.
MTV was groundbreaking. No, they weren't.
No, they weren't. No.
They were like playing into a racist culture.
Yeah.
But
Right.
isn't that crazy? Can you imagine them not playing Michael Jackson? I mean, like she said, I had when I pulled out that Thriller 12-inch
Yeah.
vinyl on the bus and
Right.
held that up,
It was like, oh,
it was like a source of pride.
It was like the scene in 16 Candles with the underwear in the
Yeah,
bathroom,
oh
right?
my
Like,
gosh,
it was-
that is hilarious.
No, but
yes,
but
you're
it's-
right.
it's so funny that you think about that, because there were certain music events, and MTV was literally part of our childhood. It's everything that we know. So think about now that changes everything for me. Like, you telling me that, because
I couldn't
there
believe
were
it.
there were 3 times that I found myself in front of the television on MTV. Okay,
I know what you're gonna say.
well, one was Thriller,
Yeah.
one was Scream with Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
And I thought you were gonna say Madonna Like a Virgin performance at MTV Music Awards.
1,000. Yes,
Or
1,000%.
was that the Grammys, or was MTV Music Awards, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
where she
time
was
out.
rolling
Did
around?
Nanette let you have MTV?
no. So let me tell you, when we were after Like a Virgin came out in 1984, so I was 7 years old. Okay, this is back in the day. Remember when you had cable television? You can pick and choose what channels you have, right? So at Mass that Sunday, Father Mahoney was saying that, like, MTV was the work of the devil, and it was just like, we are. Now you have to remember, MTV was like, there was no phone, so MTV was the salacious thing that we had in our lives. So, he was encouraging nobody should be listening to MTV. It's rotting our kids' brains. Yeah, and Madonna, like, we weren't allowed to listen to Madonna. So that was when the cable guy came to remove channel 35. I opened the door. He was like, "Hi, I'm from the cable company. I'm here to remove channel 35." And I was 7, and I said, "No, you're not." And my mom was in the back. She's like,
Oh
"Yeah, my mom removed it,"
gosh.
but it was.
That is so funny.
So when
I'm
I
here to remove channel
Yeah,
35.
When I say
Oh
MTV,
my
like Tara and
gosh.
I, after school, we were in front of the television watching Yo MTV Raps. And here's
Oh,
like 2 white
yes.
chicks gathered around the TV. But there was another video when I was a senior. I was at senior week in Ocean City, Maryland. And the same week, the Scream video came out. You have to understand, that was huge, because that was Michael and
It
Janet
was.
Jackson. Like, that was a big deal, which I remember, in like their leather. Oh my God. And then Waterfalls, TLC.
Oh gosh.
So we didn't leave until we were watching Waterfalls, and I could still do the whole.
It's
and that
so
video,
great.
and the video. Think about that video. That video was so groundbreaking, because they were talking about. They were saying, don't go chase waterfall. I mean, they were depicting someone dying from AIDS in that video. They were
That's
depicting
right.
someone getting shot and killed from gun violence. Like, it was. These were groundbreaking,
Mhm.
and like, that's why MTV now it's very sad. It's.
Yeah, and it's just
That makes
it's-
me. I can't believe that. That changes everything. What you just
it-
told me.
it- that was one takeaway from the movie that was very troubling. And then I also thought it through. If that weren't true, based on how Janet erased herself from the depiction, they could sue, because MTV is still very much a brand or alive. So I mean, that
Yeah.
made me think that it is true.
It's definitely true.
Because why would they
well,
put
and I
that in
think,
there?
and I know, for instance, the person who directed this movie, he's apparently just so high level and so well respected.
Mhm.
I don't think he would really attach. I don't know him from Adam, but I don't think he would attach his name because everything that he's done is so like,
Right. Because
wow.
if you've never seen Bohemian Rhapsody,
oh, it's amazing.
and everyone loves at least one Queen song in their lives, most likely you would love that movie. That was years ago. Now, apparently,
How much did he look like Freddie Mercury?
oh my gosh! And apparently, this Jafar Jackson had to prepare for like a year and a half before they even began filming. I mean, it's
well, but he had
intense.
no acting experience at
Right,
all.
right.
And so when the director called and he said, "I want you to play Michael," and he thought it was a joke. I mean, can you imagine? Like, you know, I mean, not that's your uncle, but it's not only your uncle; it's Michael Jackson. And here's the thing, and this is awful. I know this is awful because if allegations are true, there is nothing anybody can tell me about Michael Jackson. I will defend Michael because that music it sounds so cheesy, but it's hard to explain. And I know you understand about people. That music changed our lives. Like
It did.
that
You
music.
can hear that beginning of a song, and it
Ugh.
just takes you back to the 80s.
His
It
videos,
takes you
like
back.
remember, I mean, not Thriller, of course, you know, but like remember the time with all it was a star and you're like the mute. I mean,
Okay, remember Black and White?
oh,
So I think
Come
I
on.
told you this. One of the funniest things in college, I was at an MIT fraternity party, which is all engineers.
that was an
And-
exciting part.
Yeah. And I remember hearing these kids say, "But have you seen the graphics on the Black and White video?"
Oh yeah,
Because
They
that's when it was just now evolving, where these videos were reflecting how we were technologically speaking, advancing with all of our graphics and how movies changed. And I never forgot that. I thought that was a hilarious
That's great.
conversation. Have you seen the Black
the
and
Apple
White video?
MIT people, the smartest of the smart. I just, you know, the one thing I will say is Macaulay Culkin has been interviewed many, many times, and he was kind of like
The sidekick.
he was, you know, and I look at it very much. Michael was protecting him. Again, this is my novice opinion. He was protecting him because he knew he was a childhood star. Macaulay Culkin has come out multiple times and said, he kept me safe.
Mm.
He never hurt me. He was looking out for me over and over and over and over and over again. And so for me, I'm like, this is some kid who has literally called out his own parents for stealing money from him. He's called out the industry. He's called out. We would have heard from him. That's how I firmly believe. I
it's
think
so
that Michael
hard
was
to
just
know
like a
what's
kid.
real. Yeah, oh yeah, and that's exactly how they play it in the movie. So in your
Ugh.
lifetime, if it's still playing and you have an opportunity, the Cirque du Soleil won the Michael Jackson Cirque show
In Vegas
is the best
Okay.
in Las Vegas is the best production I've ever seen in that lane of high quality productions. They have the hologram?
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you would be blown away. And our whole family went when I was, well, years ago when the kids were younger. But I mean, it's true. What you said is so true. Like there are so few people, celebrities, artists in our lives that will impact not only that generation, but then reverberate
Oh,
into the future in ways that really are so unexpected. I mean, even our kids he's one of the few cultural figures where you could say to anyone of any age, Michael Jackson, and they all know him.
yeah. It's an Elvis Presley situation. It's an
Absolutely.
It's an Elvis Presley situation. Then how can you imagine if he and Lisa Marie would have had a child? They would have had the king of pop and the king of rock and roll blood.
That's
Can
so
you imagine?
true.
Like when that whole thing happened, it was like a whole.
Now, have you seen his kids, Paris and the
I have.
son? They look nothing like him.
Well,
And
I don't-
So was that supposed to be any
Except
biological?
Blanket.
Was there any biological tie to him?
They all were allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly, Blanket was. But what was so funny, like if you ever see the comedian, my favorite comedian, Cat Williams, when he talks about, he said, Michael, you can't name your son Blanket. You can't name your kid anything warm. Like it was like making fun of this kid's name, but it is yeah, I don't
I
know.
forgot
but
he had a kid named Blanket. That
Blanket,
is so
Blanket
funny.
Paris, and I don't know what the son's name was. The son Prince. The Prince. He wasn't. I think it was
Okay,
Prince.
yeah.
Something like
They
that.
they definitely, as adults, have a very bizarre existence because they do show up. They showed up at their premiere, I think, and then you're like, it
You
is
forget.
weird
It's
that
weird.
he has kids.
Michael Jackson's kid. I did want to tell you, bring up something. So the other night, the Baltimore Orioles game, which my dad grew up near Baltimore in a bedroom community in Baltimore, and It was Tupac bobblehead night.
Are you kidding?
I am
That
not.
is that's
And
iconic.
It was, a
That's
bobblehead,
awesome.
and his sister, Tupac's sister, threw out the first pitch.
Okay.
But it was, again, going back, and I don't know if anybody watching right now are Tupac fans like Tara and myself. There was always that thing between Biggie and Tupac, East Coast, West Coast. And I used to always say, it's not a West Coast. Tupac is from the East Coast because he's from Baltimore,
Yeah.
right? He's was
Well,
raised in
and
Baltimore.
as we know, because we've researched these things, it was his beef with Puffy that led him into the arms of Suge Knight.
Right. And who would have thought that I would prefer Sugar?
So, okay, now that you mentioned Pac, what's crazy is a movie that we both love, speaking of Janet Jackson, is Poetic Justice.
Lucky.
Such a great movie.
I love that movie. I love that
For
movie.
those of you who are 90s kids or you ever had
Mhm.
any connection to that sort of cultural touch point, you've got to watch that movie if you never have. Now, those of you who are not didn't have formative years in your 90s probably won't get it or like it.
No. That movie was to have Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur in a movie at the
And
same
they were
time.
good.
It was
Yeah.
he was excellent. You have to remember Tupac went to theater school. So that was really, really funny. So when Tupac was on the East Coast, and people can say, I can't stand Tupac, I don't like that music, that hardcore. When he was on the East Coast still, he was very much a poet. He is a poet. He's a lyricist. He has amazing, but you can see in his music when he moved and did the West Coast.
Yes.
He became a lot more angry.
Yes.
Like Hit 'Em Up, which was one of my favorite
and
songs.
he was a backup singer for Digital Underground
Yeah.
and Humpty
The
Dance.
Humpty
And so
Dance.
that's what's so weird to think that how he completely evolved as an artist.
But
I remember one of the evening newscasters, it was a dagger to my heart when they were announcing his passing. And she said, Tupac.
Oh, of course she did.
And I was like, get to know your cultural icons.
Get out of here, Tupac. That would be. I just thought it was hilarious because I made sure my dad knew. I said, because my dad goes down to a lot of the O's games. I go, were you at the ball game? He goes, no, why? I go, because bobblehead night. He goes, oh, who was it? I go, it was Tupac. He's like, oh my God. But it was, for me, I'm like, good for you, Baltimore. Like, good for you for
That's
honoring
cool.
one of your own.
Very,
one of
very
your.
cool. They had to get people going that maybe aren't huge fans just to get the bobblehead.
I just wanted to see all those, white people sitting there and having like a Tupac like bobblehead. Like I want to see like the Pac bobblehead on top of my dad's car, like on the dashboard. It would have been really funny.
So I did want to bring up, I mentioned it on Friday. She and I were talking about Mother's Day gifts, and there was a trending thing on TikTok that I came across locally, and it was the Walmart cupcake bouquet, where they turn 12 cupcakes into what looks like a bouquet of flowers. And then all the bakeries, Walmart bakeries across the country, were sharing some of how their unique staff members designed these with their creativity.
That's
and
adorable.
so I did think that was kind of cool that a store that's a chain store was letting their bakers have some individual control.
Yeah.
And so this was so funny. I went into the Iowa City Walmart, I guess it'd be Coralville when you exit there off of 80. And they had two left. And one was the one I got my mom, which I need to share that picture. And then the other one, it was awesome. It was Happy Mother's Day in Spanish.
Oh, that's so
And
nice.
so I thought that, so I was like, I'm glad I got the last English one, because there was one
Because
left
even though,
on Espanol.
because on Sunday there is no Mother's Day. It's not Mother's Day around the world. It's just a Mother's Day here. But like, so Hector has to remember 2 Mother's Days, right? Like, so he has to remember this
when
one.
is
and
the
then,
one in
you know what?
Argentina?
I don't know. Isn't that horrible? Like, I do not.
I'm gonna send this photo to.
While she's looking for
the
that, I wanted to
computer.
bring something else up because my kids were making fun of it. If you are like me, and if you have had children vaginally, excuse me for that saying now, on this bright Monday morning, you may stop to cross your legs when you sneeze, or you may sit down when you sneeze, because otherwise you may have a little.
It's a very common thing.
It is a
and
very-
people in their advanced years, women that had children generally don't like to jump on trampolines.
We don't jump on
for
trampolines.
that reason.
And you've got like pelvic organ prolapse, and you have urgency and you have frequency. I do want to let you know there are options out there and minimally invasive procedures designed to restore and control your quality of life, because it doesn't matter how old we're getting. We deserve to have a quality of life with all of the things. So care is personalized at the Urology Center of Iowa, uro.com. uro.com. They are our friends over there. What I love about them is because they are really focused on women's health, and too often everything is designed for men. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I mean, it is. I mean, it's like Tara and her MRI that she had for her, to take a look at the girls. There's very much it's a very invasive procedure. So uro.com, if you're having any of those issues with getting up in the middle of the night 17 million times, if you have to cross your legs when you sneeze.
And this is an Iowa clinic, Iowa office. So it's nice because you can talk to people that are understanding kind of the perspective of growing up in Iowa. And sometimes we are perhaps in more rural areas, more modest about these.
And we don't talk about it. Like
situations.
I think women, we don't talk about it because we don't want to be embarrassed. It happened. You know what I mean? Like if you've had children, like, yeah, like if it could be catastrophic if I sneeze and I'm not prepared. So I definitely check out uro.com.
So here is a picture of
that's adorable.
Okay, now it actually
those are cupcake. That's amazing.
It looks smaller in the picture than it actually was, but it was a giant box that they had sort of built a cardboard, that they put around it. And then when they did the design, it filled it in. So you couldn't even tell that there were like 12 cupcakes underneath it. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah. That we were able to kind of jump on the trend on TikTok. And it's so weird how TikTok now is like setting trends, or I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but someone was telling me, my friend Gina, she said she was shocked recently when she went into Ulta and how young the girls were that were shopping there. And I said, girl, social media.
My younger two have a more complex skincare routine than I have ever had. You and I had sea breeze and Noxzema, which I'm sure a lot of people watching had the same. And then so they're doing all of these steps. And I remember I had written about it and somebody had said, this is ridiculous. But then I thought, you know what? Good for them. They're taking care of their skin. It's our largest organ. Like I have never taken care of my skin like that until much later, until I hit up like Splendore, the medical spot. Right. So it was, I'm going to lean into it with, but we're not spending as much on your face because you've got the best. I mean, like Aria, I think is the worst, and she's 8.
She's 8. It's crazy how the culture has changed in that way.
Well, and people criticize, and I guess I'm a lot more lenient with my youngest because I'm tired, right? But TikTok to me, I love TikTok.
Same.
Because I do too. If you haven't been on it, I think those are the people who criticize it the most. TikTok is just creativity. Like it's just so much creativity. So the other day, Lucci and I were in the car, and End of the Road came on by Boyz II Men. I'm full in concert mode. Like I am in concert mode. I am singing. I am doing the hand motions. And I said, before TikTok, we were doing this in our bedrooms in our mirror.
That's right.
Right. So I know. Can you imagine if you and I had TikTok when we were their age?
We were all about making the music videos, and I have to say too, for those of you who think maybe you haven't been on TikTok or you have this like assumption that everything is inappropriate on there, the truth is
no.
It serves up content that interests you. And so once you start watching and you go down a rabbit hole, the algorithm will then deliver said content to you. So that being said, I have found myself on a lot of pages where it is so you can't watch it and not tear up. It's people that go out. There's a group of random guys that are becoming nationwide phenomenons, and they're different places and different circumstances, but they go out and they sit in front of a store and they pretend that they're blind or homeless or needy. And then when a random person comes up to help them, then they say, well, you're the first person all day who's helped me. Turns out I don't need your help. I'm here to gift you $5,000.
Wow.
And then they crowdsource through TikTok these people. So one of the guys right now is on a mission, 50 veterans in 50 states, and they're going around to every state in the country, and they're finding a veteran in need.
I love that.
And the guy in Michigan they found, he's 70 years old. He's working at Walmart because his wife can no longer help support the family due to her medical conditions. And he was approached by a random guy who said, "Hey, I have a question for you." And then what ensues was, just so you know, you've been nominated by your granddaughter. You're the veteran for the state of Michigan who's getting, and they've already crowdsourced for him over $50,000. So what they do is raise money then to get these people their rent paid, or get them out of situations where maybe they have to work at Walmart for the rest of their lives because they're like indentured servants, I mean, and we forget, and those of you who've been out in Iowa, because we're an older state, you've seen these people, right? The older people that work in these jobs, and then you just say to yourself, is it because they want to work or they have to work? And then you feel sad thinking about how so many people worked hard, but maybe they just financially were never able to get ahead. And maybe their Social Security doesn't keep pace with the costs and the inflation.
Well, of course, because a lot of people, first of all, if you have children, a lot of people didn't save. And, I know my dad, when my dad retired, he was going nuts. So my dad started working part-time at the local, the Hot Spot beer store. And he was like bagging, and because my dad was social and he missed connecting with people. And my dad had been working since he was like 14.
Yeah.
And then he went to law,
in the grocery store.
Started in the grocery store. That's what my dad loved. He loves bagging groceries. That's where he met my mom. Like I think that was an arranged situation. My grandmother, my mom's mom, saw the law student bagging groceries. And so she brought her 16-year-old daughter into the grocery store. And that's how the love affair.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yes. My late grandma, well, they're both passed, but my dad's mom, my favorite grandmother, she had brought that up. She said, your father was cornered. He didn't have a chance.
So when I was home over the weekend, my mom gave my sister and me a hardbound genealogy of my dad's side of the family, because one of his cousins, Wayne, spent years putting together this genealogy. And so it was so interesting because in the book, it talked about some things that I either had forgotten or never heard. One thing in particular was when my grandpa, Oscar Thomas,
I love that name,
when he was in his younger days, when my father was only 3 years old, he contracted tuberculosis from the principal of a school that did not know he was exposing people. And that landed my grandpa in what back then, the sanitarium, for 2 years. And so for 2 years, my dad had to see his father through a screen at the sanitarium. And my grandma at the time, Helen, she had 3 boys, and they had to go on public assistance because they could no longer afford to live, because my grandma had been a one-room schoolhouse teacher. And then she had the 3 boys. And when my grandpa got sick, he instantly went from being the provider of the family to lying on his back for 2 years. And then when he came home, he had to recuperate another 1.5 to 2 years before he was able to return to full-time work. And so we have always said, my mom and I, that was a very tough situation, especially that impacted my father for the rest of his life,
Oh my God.
To be that young. And so what's really interesting is because my dad was exposed to somebody who had an active tuberculosis case, like for years, if my dad ever got a chest x-ray, it would show up that there was scarring on his lungs, but he never was sick or had a symptom, but it was from the exposure of my grandpa that he got that. Isn't that crazy? So back then, I mean, people today will think of like what we went through with COVID as if that was like something no one had ever experienced. But the truth is that a lot of people in all the generations past, they understood uniquely like how fleeting life was because of conditions that were not easily eradicated.
Right. Yeah. When I saw like the whole thing with this hantavirus.
Oh gosh.
And with like rats. And this is what I want to, I saw a story, and this is so true. Like, what happened on that ship? What happened? Because this is the thing. In New York and Philadelphia, they have rats the size of cats.
Yes, we were just talking about
what I'm saying? Like,
now,
and there's been no hantavirus.
Was it mice?
I don't know. Well, what were we doing on that ship? And here's what I was yelling. Like, not that I want, not the people. I get the people off, safely, but like burn it into the sea. Like, we're not doing another pandemic. I'm not doing another pandemic. Like, this is just.
So part
I
of it
can't.
too is, I think, and it's awful to say because we were former media people, but I think there's something
Yes.
that drives, you
Mhm.
know, the hysteria, and it's called viewership and ratings, right?
Oh, for sure.
So because now we can correlate it directly with a pandemic that's in recent memory for us, it really hyped up some of the coverage. I looked into it, and it does not appear that it's comparable to COVID in that, like she said, it's supposed to be transmitted from animals, but the person to person transmission is not, and maybe they have a new strain that would prove otherwise, but it's not like COVID where you can pass. So, I mean, that was a little bit comforting to hear. But then, like she said, I mean, if it's on a ship, do you want to get back on that ship? How are they going to sanitize? It reminds me of, if you've been on a cruise in recent years, I guess post-COVID, then you know how they do the washy, washy, washy. When you come into the big dining area, they have songs. And during Christmas, they do like all the parodies of Christmas songs around washing your hands.
Oh,
so it's
a you know, and that's another horrible thing. Like, that's where we are in society. Like, we have to have songs that remind people to wash their hands. Like, if you go into any bathroom at a restaurant, employees must wash their hands.
Isn't
like
that
the fact
true?
that we have
That's
to remind
true.
people to wash their hands, like, that's next
Well,
level.
okay.
Nasty.
Also, this is so bad, but I have to bring this up because I know you can remember this. Do you know, during COVID, where I worked and a lot of workplaces, because of all the issues with like close proximity, once we returned to work, they made all the restrooms unisex.
No.
Okay. So so I remember walking in to the women's and being like, okay, something about it just felt different. It felt gross. And then when you go into something like a shared restroom, if you are waiting before you enter for a person to come out, and then when the guy comes out, and then you're like, did they wash their hands?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? How like and
I didn't hear the hand dryer.
And women sometimes don't either. You know.
Yeah, but we don't touch anything.
But the guys not washing their hands,
That's
is
nasty.
really, really gross.
I can't. Like, I think we said it. I do want to bring back the 6 foot rule, though.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of stores still have the stickers, and a lot of doctors'
people
offices,
don't.
But people don't.
People don't follow
anymore.
it. Like it is.
Yeah, you said somebody was like breathing
hot breath. Like, what is with the people? If someone's, why are you like right here or like right here when I'm trying to pay? Like, I'm like, it's too much. Like, I can't even. And that was before COVID. Like, that's unacceptable. And so, I mean, like, what is? Can you imagine? Like, Lord, the woman knew I used Charmin. She knew, you know, like she knew what perfume and soap I was using.
About the hantavirus. They said, you better not. It was a person who worked at a big box retailer, and they said, you better not start hoarding toilet paper. I'm not doing that again, because it was so weird how it's like we are all sheep, right, in this world, and it's so true. Like, we follow the shepherd, right? So like sometimes it's like one person or one friend or one, and then we all just like blindly follow suit. And it is so weird how we were all buying toilet paper as if, what about all the other products that could have run out?
It's like the bread and milk when the snowstorm. Why are you buying what you really want? Get the guac and tortilla chips. No, I mean, like, and never once did I say, well, we're gonna run out of, like, I can't wait to have a cold glass of milk when the snow, to watch the snow. No, you wanted to like eat the guac. But we were talking about, like, we remember that's when the grocery delivery service really amped up. I mean, really, really amped up. And then remember we had to like Clorox. I mean, this was just 6 years ago. This is only 6 years ago.
Weird. I remember going to a grocery pickup, and a woman who I know who got then like a part-time job working at this grocery store during the pandemic, she got right in my face because I was in the passenger side. And I remember being like, because at that point there had been like at least 20 to 30 days where my family was totally isolated. We had not had contact with other people,
Yeah.
just like you.
Yeah.
So it was so weird because it was like in those movies where all of a sudden, you know, you have contact with the alien and you're like, and I remember I rolled my window up and I turned to Dave and I was like, she got right in my face. But she was used to working more in person, and we were working entirely from home. That was a good time for us with our kids because we bonded so much with our kids during that time. And hopefully you had a similar, you know, it was an awful situation, but hopefully you found a silver lining.
Yeah, I think my kids loved it. They loved being able to be at home because it was like, it was the pause button. And it was, you know, fun. And I think I remember I was kind of like the other moms, like maybe the first few days, and we were doing the learn at home. And I was like, let's do yoga. Let's put a yoga thing on. Do kid yoga. Cosmic yoga is what it was called. And we did that. That didn't last long. And then it was kind of, you know,
cosmic yoga.
Cosmic yoga. But I did like the slowdown. It was, but if we could go back to the not being around people would be good. Like not being forced to be around. But I mean, I think still people need, like, I want to wear a sign that says I still practice social distancing.
That's so funny. It did change too. And we've talked about this, the work culture, because for all of you that now do Zooms and virtual meetings, then what we now say is, whereas initially it was convenient because you didn't always have to drive to meet with the people in person. Now it's an inconvenience because, like, cell phones are always with us and they expect you to always be able to check your email. Now people assume you can and will do a virtual meeting anytime, anywhere. And so again, we go back to the mug that accurately depicts how we feel. That was a meeting that could have been an email.
Could have been text. Most of it could have been a text.
A text, exactly, you know? A text.
I'm going to take a left here because over the weekend I had run into somebody. I don't know this person, but this person likes to talk about me, and so I was very vulnerable when I shared that I had lost quite a bit of weight to get healthy on a GLP-1. You have to understand, when I'll find a picture. I was so unhealthy. You can tell by looking at me. I was making unhealthy choices. Unhealthy. This helped me. Yada yada. It's medicine. It prevented me from being on all these other kind of medicines. Whatever. I never shared it for the first year I was on it because at the time it was, you're stealing from diabetics, and you know what I mean. So it was. I kept it quiet. I think you were the only person who knew that I was on it at the time. And I kept that quiet. So when I finally opened up, the reason I opened up is because I want it to be authentic and I want it to be genuine. And I didn't want to I felt like I could help somebody else, or I wanted to make sure anybody else who was on it wasn't embarrassed or feeling shame. So this woman criticized me. She criticized me in group settings too, that got back to me, which was very weird. Like, why are you, I don't even know you, and you're talking about me with your friends.
Well, but you've been very public and high profile about, you know, your journey with your health.
Well, yeah. So it was, but like she was criticizing me, criticizing. But very long story short, this woman looked amazing. She lost an incredible amount of weight. Like, congratulations. Lost a lot. And in fact, I was thinking, I was like, I hope she's not sick. Like, that was my first thing. But very long story short,
we've reached that age.
She, I found out from a good friend of hers that she too has turned to a
weight loss drug.
And so I sat there and I was like this, well. Isn't that lovely? But I was like, well, good for you. And honestly, the old me would have been like going up and confronting her. Oh, you got something to say? How about that? But now I'm like, well, good for her, because now I hope it taught her perspective.
Don't judge.
Right. Perspective. I hope she hit the pause button and thought, man, I should have been showing empathy and not being judgmental. Like, I was like, good for you. I bet you're feeling like, this is why I talked about it, because it's medicine that helped. So if she is watching this, I wish you well. I think you looked amazing. I'm glad you found the answer that helped. And now you know where I was coming from. It was not to be vain.
Right.
It was not so I could wear, because I don't wear crop tops. I think my clothes are baggier now, like by choice. Like I'm trying to be in my muumuu, my Golden Girls. I'm hanging out in the lanai wearing like a muumuu.
I love it. Okay, so speaking of baggy clothes, thoughts on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, because
Girl.
I
don't like to read.
because
I don't like to read.
this is what I noticed, because we watch and have watched these reality shows for years. If you have followed the saga, so Dorit used to be really tight with Kyle Richards and Erica. So these three women were pretty close. They'd been on the show for years, and now there's a huge rift between them. So my question to you is, if you're Andy Cohen, who masterminded these shows and came up with this,
Yes.
how do you remedy the fact that at the reunion there appeared to be no resolution, so much so that are we going to be able to go into another season where Dorit would film with Kyle and Erica and the audience would think it was all fake, because they don't even talk. They said they don't even want to have a relationship. So how do you cast the next season?
I think that they'll keep everybody on, because I think it's drama, because you put all of it in the room and
Right.
something's going to happen. And I think he's going to tell people, like, Dorit needs this job, because everything
Yes.
I've been reading behind the scenes. So her husband
So
came
they
out.
get paid to be on this show, which is why we feel a lot of it is staged,
That's why it's kind of like the first couple seasons I love,
because they were more
because
genuine.
before everybody
It was
gets
before
famous.
they all went under the knife.
Yes, and before they get
But
famous,
they look good now.
Dorit
know?
looks up.
Yeah,
Dorit,
she
yeah,
looks
she's hot,
good.
but she is so pompous. Like, that's like she's
She
just
is.
so.
And she looks totally different from when she first started on
Her
the show.
nose certainly looks like everything looks different. And so now they're saying, if you've watched this show, this season has all been Kyle saying, going from friend to friend, saying, her spending is out of control. This may not help her in the divorce. Now there's a take on it that Kyle was really trying to help Dorit by planting things like she saw the writing on the wall, because right now PK is like, with his lawyer, came out and said she's spending $1 million on clothes.
Mhm.
This is the bill this month from Hermes, and this is the bill this month from. So they're saying that Kyle knew the angle that PK was going to take, so she was trying to yell.
Yeah,
like,
that's probably, that could very well
but
be.
like, I literally, give me in a room with Dorit for 30 seconds. Like, I would tear her to she is so pompous and so arrogant and so, like, because she's rolling with the homies. This is what happens. This is what happens when you have one mean girl, right? And then if the one mean girl gets a pack, it gets that faux confidence, like, oh, look at me, I'm big and bad. Like, because think about how she is.
So Kathy Hilton is also on the show, and her younger sister is Kyle Richards, the one that we speak of that's in this beef with Dorit. Now, what's crazy about Kathy Hilton is she's married to
yes,
the grandson of the founder of Hilton Hotels. And what made me laugh, and how ridiculous they look on these shows, they were talking about Bose, this very accomplished former chief marketing officer who's worked at many big brands. She's now engaged to this guy Keely, and Keely, I thought, genuinely said, well, would you how would life unfold for us if one of us like lost our income? And
I thought that was a genuine question.
So did I. So they seem very sincere, and the whole thing is her whole thing is like, she's not marrying for money because she's independently wealthy. So when they were talking about what would you do if your fiance or the man in your life was no longer gainfully employed, and Kathy Hilton, of all people, said, no money, no honey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I thought, give me a break. I mean, and it's just actually insane how, in some ways, some women today that you see all the time with athletes and celebrities, it's like we're running around in corsets trying to meet people at cotillions with dance cards.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't evolved at all from the Victorian era.
No.
We're still trying to get a man. It's so crazy.
Their mom, Kathy and Kyle's mom, she was the one that was telling them, you will marry for money. He will have money. He will do this. And that's just insane. It's kind of, that's why, I mean, like, for me, for women who have never been in the arena getting their butt kicked,
mm-hmm.
like, your opinion means nothing to me. If you're nothing but a kept.
Well, especially because if you get to the point in your life, and some people do, where they are financially trapped in a situation where maybe they're not happy or they're having issues, and then they say to themselves, but I'd rather be unhappy and not have to do all the things if someone else is paying for it. And it's sad because so many women, especially, will find themselves in financial circumstances whereby they may not even remember, what it was that got them into this relationship. They're just worried about all the things they will lose if the relationship blows up.
Right.
And that to me is a defensive way to have to live.
Well,
right.
yeah. And don't
And
like,
so that's
at the end of the
tough.
day, like, yeah. And if
But we
Rick
know
Hilton,
a lot of people that are in that situation.
yeah, and if Rick Hilton wasn't Rick Hilton, would she still be with him?
Mhm.
Like, and that's what's sad. Like, so don't preach to me about the importance of family when if the family that you are like you want to, it's all attached to dollar signs or what the man brings to the table,
1000%.
and that's where I'm just kind of like. But I mean, Kathy Hilton is
Hilarious.
a gem. Like they're
Yeah,
literally
she's
filming.
funny.
They're filming, and her sister is doing this emotional answer, giving this emotional answer about the future of her marriage. And Kathy's like, "Hello,
Yeah,
I'm
she's
kinda busy
taking
right
a
now."
call during the taping of this reunion show because she's Kathy Hilton, so she's not, aware of the boundaries that the rest of us adhere to. I mean, it's just now.
But
I
then the
will
other thing with
say,
Rachel Zoe, and I love Rachel Zoe. I love Rachel Zoe.
they
I
really
did.
kind of kept her out of the reunion.
Well,
she didn't
here's-
even talk.
Well, because, and that's the thing, like the backbone disappeared because she's very close with Kathy Hilton, and she has to be close with Kathy Hilton because of this, right? She's very close to Kathy Hilton, so she can't defend now. She's not really going in hard in the paint with Dorit again
She didn't
because
defend Dorit.
against Kyle because she can't speak up against. I mean, I
That-
could go
you're right.
on.
I agree with you.
We
on
could
that.
have a show completely dedicated to this.
So what's interesting is I will say if you've ever been a fan of the old show with Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton, that was an iconic reality show. What was that called? Their reality show. All these years later, Paris has evolved to where now they've depicted some of her life. Oh, it was called The Simple Life.
Oh, yes,
Her and
with-
Nicole. And they traveled the country, right? So they today have a unique relationship that was born out of Paris being a troubled child and having to go to one of those horrible camps where they were like abusive to kids.
Yes.
So it's so interesting that now as an adult, the little bit that I've seen of Paris Hilton, I think that because of what she went through, she seems, even though she has the whole persona and the
baby voice.
Yeah, she seems like she really genuinely changed as a person in a good way, having come out of some of what she did, because she definitely wasn't the kid that had the silver spoon. I mean, they put her in like a camp for juvenile delinquents.
Yeah.
So I mean, that really, and she went to jail. So it's just that whole thing was so crazy. There's a reality show now that is about Paris, and I watched some of it. She did not tell her mom, Kathy.
She was having a baby.
Yes.
Yeah. She used a surrogate. She did not tell.
And
yeah,
then
and
she goes, meet your granddaughter. And she was like, what?
Yeah.
Did you see that reaction? Isn't that hilarious?
Your reaction
it's
was
like,
very
yeah,
good.
it was like, Paris.
See, listen, if you get hooked into reality TV like we do,
It's
it
addictive.
makes
folks.
it's addictive and it makes you feel really good. Like, and have you
we
watched
are,
Rhode
we are
Island
like
yet?
I'm gonna say it. It's like Jersey. I can't
You
get
can't get into it?
into
Okay.
it.
No,
But
I
I need to
understand.
try because some of the clips I see previewing
It's
upcoming
so
episodes are
relatable.
kinda,
Like, but I'm like, the way they talk about Rhode Island, they're like, everybody wants to live in Rhode Island. No one
No,
wants to
they
live in. No one
don't.
wants to live in Rhode Island. And that's how you show, like, when you are like, when people are in their own little bubble, they think that everything it's like the small town. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
everyone thinks that like where they live is like the most magical. Nobody wants to live in Rhode Island. No one. I mean, like it's beautiful. No one wants to live in Rhode Island. When I hear Rhode Island, you know what I think of? Dumb and Dumber. Cranston. Freda Felcher from Cranston. If you know the Dumb and Dumber, that's what you're thinking about.
That's
Well,
funny.
it is 7:58 already on this Monday, May 11th. I can't even believe it's May 11th, but we're here, and I'm going to start the week with a four-letter word, and it's nope. Nope. I've used it before, but I want you to say no to things this week. I want you to say no to things this week because when we use the word no, you may think it's rude. It's not, because it's also protecting your boundaries. So if you don't want to go somewhere that's going to drain you spiritually, emotional, like whether it's another concert that it's on the docket for tonight.
Are you
I have another.
kidding?
I'm not kidding. Lucci
This
looks
is
at me.
your third one. in
Lucci
2
looks at me last
weeks.
night. She goes, "Don't forget, I have a concert tomorrow." I go, "What the heck is this one for?" This is another one.
I thought
tonight.
she just had one.
She did.
Oh, she had a band concert, and now this is a music concert.
We've had a music concert.
the
We've had a
singing.
band concert. I think this is a choir concert. And I'm like, I'm like,
How you guys are like the Partridge Family.
Apparently.
Everybody's playing and
who
singing.
knew we were so magically inclined in my house? Apparently we are.
You said magically inclined. You mean
Musically?
like magically delicious, eating your Lucky Charms bars. Magically inclined. That is so funny.
I'm going to pull something out of my. Told me you were a fatty without telling me. Magically delicious.
Oh my gosh. The verse of the day comes from Psalms chapter 32, verse 8. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. So if you lean in, which we say all the time, read your Bible, the kinds of things that you discern from that are the counsel and the guidance that can come from God. And it can be so comforting if you feel like you're adrift and you don't have an anchor and you want to sort of find the shore. And so for me, I feel like in times of trouble, we both have said this, sometimes then a comforting word that can be delivered from a friend could actually be God's way of like letting you know everything's going to be okay.
Everything's going to be all right.
Have a great week. We hope you had a great Mother's Day, and we will see you right back here on Monday morning.
Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday morning. It's Monday.
It's
today.
It's a long week.
Thank you for watching the group chat. The show is brought to you by the empowering staff at Urology Center of Iowa, Tenoyer Gardens, Azalea Lane Boutique, and Splendor the Medical Spa.